Hello and welcome back to the AI series part 3. In this episode we're going to go through the perception system, detailing how it works and how to create a sight sense, including a last known location search. So let's get started. So let's talk about the perception system. The perception system is how our AI can detect and receive information from their environment based upon various things that they can see, hear, be nearby, damaged by, etc, etc. And it's a very useful thing to have for many games, so it's good to understand how it all works. So what we're going to do is go into our AI controller, which you have down here, and in our AI controller we can assign our perception system. And when you type in perception, you'll see there's two options. You've got AI perception, this is the system itself, and then you've got the stimuli source. This works in tandem with the perception system when you want to register something to the scene that isn't a character. So let's go and add our AI perception. So in here, on the right hand side, in its details panel, you can see the senses configuration. We can click on this to add any number of senses we wish. So go in here, and then drop down, you've got all your different senses you can add. We're going to choose the AI sight config. Sight is a good one to have by default. This allows the AI to see you, essentially, and react on to what it sees. Once you've added the configuration now, you're going to want to open up the settings of this and have a look at what you've got available to you. So here you've got some key ones to write about. You've got the sight radius. This is how far it can see. So if you're within that radius, he can see you. You can lose sight radius. So once he's seen you, how far away do you have to be before he loses sight of you? Peripheral vision half angle in degrees. So as a half angle, this is the vision cone that you see your character have. So 90 degrees essentially gives you a 180 degree field of view. I personally find this way too much for a character. So I usually turn this down to something like 45 or 50. Then you've got detection by affiliation. So this system is not functioning too well in Blueprint. It's mostly used for C++ and is mostly defunct. But I would make sure that you turn all these on anyway to avoid any weird issues. Next, you've got auto success range from last seen location. So if they're not within a valid range, how far will they be able to see the target if they've already been seen? This is basically their last seen location. Okay. The point of view backward offset and near clipping radius work together to create peripheral vision. So point of view backward offset moves the vision cone starting point backwards away from the actor's origin. So I would suggest putting in something like 200. But to help with this, we're going to clip the first 200 units of the cone. This actually gives you a nice weird cone effect where it looks like you've got peripheral vision in your character. So it's a good default one to have. This debug color is green, max age is 0, and starts enabled is done. And that's what we're going to do here. So to trigger this, we're going to right click on the AI perception and go add event, and you can see the events you have available to you. You have on perception updated, on target perception updated, on target perception info updated. These three all essentially do the same thing but give different parts of information. So for example, on perception updated gives you all the actors that have been updated to reflect any changes. So if you're keeping track of who's in vision, who's not in vision, for example, you can do with this. The next one is target perception updated. This is the one I typically use. It's quite useful because it's the one to tell you which actor was just added or removed from the perception system, and it gives you the stimulus that was affected by this. And then finally, you got perception, target perception updated, info updated. And this basically is the same thing as this, except this is a struct of this. So if I take this out here and break that, you can get that information there. Okay. I don't ever really use this one, but I guess it's there if you want to use it. Okay, so as I said, we're going to use target perception updated. And basically this triggers, for in case of sight, every time they see you and every time they lose sight of you. You need to give you the actor and a stimulus struct, which you can take out here and break it open to see what it contains. So you have the age and expiration age of the detection, This is especially useful for things like sound, where you want them to hear things and then maybe forget about that sound after a certain amount of time. The strength, again, useful for sound if you want to know about like the loudness or something. Stimulus location, receiver location, pretty self-explanatory. Any tag you may have associated with it. These are going to be meta tags you want to add. And success view sense, whether this was a seen or forgotten sense. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to actually take this and put it into its own function to handle this sight sense on its own little bubble. So we go to functions over here, and we're going to do handle sight sense. And with this, we want to pass through the information that we are getting from here, the actor and the stimulus. So let's pass that through here. I'm going to go to inputs and choose actor. And call it actor. And we also want the stimulus as well. And the stimulus type, if you just type it in here, stimulus, you'll see AI stimulus come up. Okay. Right. So with handle sight sense, we only want this to run this code if the stimulus here is of the sight sense. So you can take from this stimulus here, type in class, and you'll get the sense class from stimulus. We can then, from this class, check to see if this is equal to the sense for sight. If I type in sight, you'll see AI sense sight config. AI sense config sight. That one? Hang on, let me have a look. It is AI sight config. Okay, so it's this here. AI sight config. As long as that's the same as this, we're golden. Okay, and we're going to put that into a branch. And if that is false, it's just going to return value here. Okay. So that's the intro to this function. It's just going to check to see whether we are in fact dealing with a sight update. Now, if we are looking at a sight update, we're going to make it look for a player character. So with the actor, if I type in actor and go right to the bottom, I'll get actor. This refers to this actor pin here. And I'm going to check to see if this is equal to the player character. Equal to, oh, right, from here, get player character. And that will go into a branch again for itself in there. Okay, and if it wasn't the actor, we're going to put another return node in for the false of that branch there. Then on true, we are going to update the Blackboard based upon the actor, whether they've been seen or unseen. So we're going to get the Blackboard, first of all, by just searching for get Blackboard. And from here, we can set a value on this Blackboard as object. And I'm going to plug that into my true there. So we have to give it a key name. Like we've seen before, how this works. We're going to put in a key name, and we'll do make literal name. And in here, we're going to give it the name target actor. And the object value can be based upon whether or not he's seen us or not. So if we take this stimulus, which is this one here, we'll right click, search for it, stimulus, here's, and we're just going to right click and split it. And there we have it. And what I'm going to do is check this Boolean here. So for this Boolean, we are going to put that into a branch. And this branch also, this branch can go after the set value as object. So, and we're also going to use it for this object value here. I'm going to do a select node. So select object and put select A in there. And if it's true, it'll pick the A value. If it's false, it'll pick the B value. So if it's true, we want A to be the player character. Get player character. If it's B, that means false. We're going to leave it blank. That way it resets the value and clears it. Now we've got to go into a branch after the fact, because what I want to do is that when it is false, I want to store its location as a last known position. So let's go ahead and do that on the false here. We're going to get Blackboard again. And from there, do set value as vector. And plug that into the false of this branch. So when it's forgotten or lost sight of the player. And the key name here, we're going to do make and put in last known location. And this is going to take a vector value, which is going to come from here, stimulus location. Okay. And that will do for now, at least, on here. So hit compile and save. Let's go back to our event graph and add this into our stimulus update over here. This first. So I'm going to drag in handle site sense, plug this in, and send over actor and stimulus into there. Compile, save. So when things get updated, it will check to see if it's site sense. And if it is, it's going to check if it's the player. And again, if it is, it's going to set the value of the player as the object value here. If it lost sight of the character, because keep in mind, this fires both times when it sees us and when it loses sight of us, so it happens twice. When it loses sight of us, it will set it to nothing. Target actor P. And when it does lose sight of us, it's going to get the vector and put it in a last known location. So we just need to make sure our Blackboard has these keys. If not, we have to add them. Let's go over to our Blackboard. We've got target actor. I'm going to add new key and do a vector. And this is going to be a target location. When you're adding a target actor, by the way, if you haven't already got it, do make sure you change the base class over here to an actor. So just expand open the key type to see this base class. And hit save and close out. Okay, now we're going to go over to our behavior tree. Go over to our behavior tree. And in here, we've got move to random location. We want to do this where it can't see us, so it's just wandering around. So we're going to right click on our sequence and add a decorator. Now we're going to talk a lot more about decorators in the next episode. Don't worry about them too much just yet. But for now, just go to add decorator and choose a Blackboard decorator. And on this Blackboard decorator, when you select it, over on the right hand side, you can choose which Blackboard key you want it to allow. So we want to use the target actor. And the query is for only when it is not set. So if target actor has not got a value, it will do this branch here. But if it does change, we want to stop doing this immediately and then go on to do moving to the player. So we need to take it to abort. And up here, you've got observer aborts. It says none. We're going to change that to self, at least. And that'll abort its own branch. And because it's attached to a selector, it'll go up to the selector and do the next branch, which is what we're going to do now. We're going to drag this out here, do sequence. And then on that sequence, we're going to do a move to. And this move to, we can go on the right hand side, change the Blackboard key to be target actor. Okay, hit save, and we're done there. So before we leave our behavior tree, let's keep things organized. So I'm going to go to this sequence here. I'm going to rename it from just sequence to roaming sequence. And this sequence here, I'm going to change to chase sequence. Okay, just makes it a little bit easier for us to communicate and talk about these ideas. Okay, so let's save this and put this into the game. I'm going to just get rid of one of these. Okay, so there's my character, and now he's seen me. Now, if I go into my debug here, I can access with the apostrophe key. I can turn off and on the perception system by hitting 4 on my number pad. So here you can see sight is being updated. But he's not following our roaming sequence. He's still stuck in his roaming sequence. He's not chasing us. So let's take a look what's happening. On the debug, we can see target actor not being set. It says none. Let's work out why that might be the case. I'm going to go into our AI character here. The first thing we'll do is I'm going to check the spelling for my target actor key over here, which seems correct. Keep in mind, spaces are included, so make sure you've got no spaces there. So if this is not being set, that must mean it's not reaching this far. Now, the easiest way to test this, if I right click on my branch over here and do add breakpoint. Now I have to get seen by him. Okay, so it's not reaching that breakpoint. Let's work out where else it might not be reaching us. I'm going to go over to handle site, add breakpoint for this. Okay, so there we go. We are hitting the breakpoint. And you've got stimulus going through here and return value coming out of here. We won't get to just yet. We have to go forward a little bit. Okay, and the site class is AI Sense Site. Ah, we've got the wrong class. That's where we're going wrong. I was wrong at the start. So we're going to just remove our breakpoints and change that to the other thing, AI Sense Site. There we go. We debugged that, and we now should see him give trace to us after seeing us. Now, there are many other different senses in the AI perception system, and we will be covering them all throughout this series. So make sure you stay tuned for all of those. Now, we did add one last thing, which was the last known location. Let's go ahead and put that in there too. I'm going to go into my Blackboard, add a new key, vector, and give this one called last known location. We're then going to go back to our behavior tree and look at where this is going to go. So when the selector's gone in from roaming sequence to chase sequence, they're in here. Now, if target actor gets forgotten about in here, we want to go into a different branch entirely to handle the moving to the last known location. So I still want it to be part of this chase sequence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down and put in a selector. And this selector is going to do this sequence here. And then it's going to do a different move to over here on the right of it. And this move 2 is going to use the last known location. I'm going to just take the name of that and up here. We'll get a chase selector. So going to the chase selector, once it's been seen, it will then pick the left-handed branch, which is this one, to chase sequence and do the move to target actor. We then want it to abort this. So if we right click on the chase sequence here, go to add decorator Blackboard and do what we did over here basically. So we're going to click on our Blackboard based condition, change it from self actor to target actor, and it should only do this if target actor is set. Okay, so if it is set, it will let it through. But if that gets changed, we want it to abort. So observer aborts, change that to self, and that will leave that one and go back up to the selector and into move to last known location. Now, if it was going to there and it sees us, currently it will just keep on going to that last known location. We need it to abort this as well and go back to here. So we go back to target actor is set on here and change it from self to both. And now you can see it's highlighted blue. So it's going to abort both directions on here. Hit save and let's see how this looks. So let's get seen by him. If I run around the corner, he won't just wander off, he'll keep chasing and following where he last saw me until I lose him completely. There you go, he lost me completely. Okay, and there you go. That's how we do last known location. And there you go, we've now got sight added to our character. Now, I did say we will be going back to this later on when we're adding other senses, but for now we're going to move on and go on to decorators as we teased in the episode. So the next episode we're going to go through decorators, what they are and how to set them up, and also create your own ones too. You can watch that next episode right now over on patreon.com/Ryan Laley, where you can watch all my content available early from just $1 a month. Massive thank you to all my patrons and YouTube members for their continued support. Thank you for watching, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.